Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, thank you again for being here with us today. And we're going to kick things off by showing a brief video about our undergraduate transfer scholarship program. Okay, thank you all once again for joining us today. Hopefully you got the chance to view the video that we just showed of the undergraduate transfer scholarship, highlighting a few of our scholars and just giving a brief overview of the program. My name is Alan Royal, and I am the manager of outreach and partnerships here at the Cooke Foundation. And I'm also joined today by my colleague, Kate Featherston, who is our outreach associate. And we're going to spend a little bit of time telling you more about this amazing scholarship opportunity, and to give you a better context for our program and the different services that come with becoming a Cooke Scholar, as well as talk some about the application process, and kind of give you some tips and ideas that are important to completing our application. So you'll see the photo that's in front of you is a shot of our latest cohort of undergraduate transfer scholars. And we will go ahead and jump into talking about what the scholarship is. So students who receive the scholarship receive up to $40,000 per year to transfer to a 4-year accredited undergraduate institution. And that funding can cover tuition in addition to living expenses, books, and any other required school fees that can typically be billed through the cost of attendance that you would receive at your college. So it's a very generous scholarship, and we take into consideration all aspects of educational costs, not only tuition. We will select this year approximately 45 students to become undergraduate transfer scholarships next spring. A couple of other benefits of being in the program. So you can pursue any area of study as a Cooke Undergraduate Transfer Scholar. We're not a STEM focused scholarship or a liberal arts scholarship. Students have the ability to choose any area of study that they're interested in. We also have a greater community of Cooke scholars that stretches with the remaining undergraduate transfer students, as well as other Cooke College scholars, young scholars, alumni, as well as faculty and staff. So we have a pretty expansive community, and we try to bring each other together for events periodically throughout the year. The largest of those is our annual Scholars Weekend event, where you will see folks from all aspects of our community once again. And we also maintain alumni networks and chapters in different regions across the country and host regional events and different activities connected to those alumni chapters. So I think that the community is one of the more special parts of becoming a Cooke Scholar, and something that, as you can also tell from the video, definitely enriches the scholar experience. And another special benefit is students who are selected as Cooke Scholars have access to the Cooke Graduate Scholarship Award. And so the Cooke Graduate Scholarship is our only award that's not outward facing, meaning that scholars who are already in our network have access to that. And so that award is up to $75,000 towards the cost of your graduate education. So Cooke Scholars that are selected have the opportunity to apply for that funding as well. In addition to the funding aspects and the community aspects, we also have an advising component that comes with becoming a Cooke Scholar. So as a transfer student, when that student is thinking about transitioning to their 4-year college or university, there will be an educational advisor on staff that's available to help them with the search and decision process in the spring, as well as help guide them through the different sort of important things to understand about transferring and getting settled into a new campus environment. And that includes financial aid and navigating that process. So when a student receives their financial aid package from universities that they may be accepted to, advisors are available to help sort of guide in making those decisions. And then when they arrive on campus as well, transitioning into a new culture and a new environment, potentially, advising has been a great way to help students navigate that transition. So when we think about who is a Cooke Scholar, you see this photo of 3 of our scholars who are holding placards that say our motto, which is think big, work hard, achieve. And I think this explains and describes something that's very true about all of our scholars. They definitely all have a drive to succeed and are ambitious and passionate about education and about their community. The undergraduate transfer scholars in particular are also a highly engaged group and do like to be connected to the foundation and connected to their peers in the program, which is always nice for us as we work to serve them, knowing that they are putting just as much effort into being a part of the program as we are to serve. And UT scholars also come from a variety of backgrounds and experiences. So that includes non-traditional students, students of all ages and from all backgrounds and different parts of the nation. So there are no restrictions in terms of that when it comes to applying. In terms of eligibility, we are a scholarship that is focused on high achieving students who have demonstrated financial need. For the undergraduate transfer scholarship in particular, a student must be currently sophomore status or a recent graduate, meaning that if they've graduated from community college within the last 5 years, or they're currently a sophomore, then they're eligible to apply. We also require a GPA of 3.5 or above, and they have to demonstrate that they plan to transfer the following fall to a 4-year college or university. And once again, in thinking about unmet financial need, so many of our scholars typically will be Pell Grant eligible. However, our maximum annual income for an individual applying is $95,000 per year. But again, typically our average usually runs around 35K for AGI, and many of our students are Pell eligible if you're looking for sort of a benchmark as far as financial qualification is concerned. And a little bit about our selection process. So again, we choose students from across the nation as well as the U.S. territories. And this includes DACA status students and students who may be undocumented. So we do not check for that in terms of our application process. So they're welcome to apply. And you can see based on the numbers from our applicant pool that we are a selective scholarship. Last year for the undergraduate transfer scholarship, we received around 20,000 applications, or 20,000 applications were started rather, and about 2,800 were completed. And then even from that 2,800, we still were only able to select around 50 scholars. So that yields around 2% acceptance rate. And I say that definitely not to discourage people from applying, but also to say that it's good to be aware of that as you're approaching your application, and to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward and securing good recommendations and things of that nature. But we definitely want you to apply and encourage you to ask questions as you have those as you're working on the application. And in terms of selecting, we have a multi-phase process of evaluating applications, but we do invite academic professionals, typically from the admissions world, from different 2-year and 4-year universities across the nation, to help us evaluate applications. So that's a part of the process that helps us get to our semifinalists. That committee of external application readers plays a very crucial role in helping us get there. And then after that, the foundation staff continues the review process to determine the finalists or the recipients of the scholarship. And along the same lines of selection, I want to talk a little bit about our criteria to help you understand what we're looking for, and a little bit more about what types of students become Cooke Scholars. So once again, looking at achievement and academic ability, we are an academic scholarship, so that is first and foremost what we're looking at. So in addition to the 3.5 GPA, we also take a look at your course selection and the rigor of those courses, looking to see that you took courses that were challenging and that you maximized what was available to you at your college as you completed your coursework, and essentially looking for your commitment to your education as well as your intellectual curiosity. And much of that is derived through the essays that you will submit as part of the application. So we're definitely looking for a strong quality of writing and critical thinking that's evident in those essays that you will submit. And then once again, financial need is the other important piece, sort of the eligibility piece. So again, the maximum income being $95,000 per year. And keeping in mind that typically many of our applicants are Pell eligible, but we also understand that depending on cost of living where you might be, or depending on other factors like household size and things like that, money can stretch differently according to those factors. So we want to be sure and be flexible for those reasons. We're also looking at persistence. And so what we mean by this is a demonstrated determination when faced with challenges, and having that ability to set and remain focused on goals and continue to work towards those goals even in the face of setbacks and different obstacles that might come. So again, these are things that typically will come out in the short answers and essay writing that you'll do on the application, as well as in recommendations and other places where writing is a part of the application. We also look at leadership ability. And so again, similar to persistence, we're thinking about how you approach things and your ability to impact others in positive ways around you. So that is something that could play out in many ways in your school environment. There may also be other spaces that you're a part of in your community. You may volunteer with certain organizations or be a part of student-led organizations. That could be church, even family, and helping out with taking care of family members or situations at home that really can indicate your leadership ability. And so again, we're looking at your writing in terms of helping us understand that, as well as recommendations and parts of the application where you'll get to list the activities that you're involved in and tell us a little bit about what those are and what they mean to you. And finally, service to others is the last piece of the selection criteria that we look at. And this, again, connecting it back to how much we emphasize the importance of community within our programs. We think that this is something that we try to impart on scholars, and actually many scholars bring this to our community, and so it's become a part of it as a result of that. But what this means is just demonstrated meaningful commitment to helping other people, and that can be evidenced through participation in community service or other volunteer activities, or it can be something else that you've had a long-term commitment to that, again, is showcasing your desire to serve others and the efforts that you've made towards that over time. So we're going to shift at this time to talk a little bit about the application, and also wanted to mention that if you're having questions, definitely feel free to type those in the chat box, and we will try to answer those as the webinar goes on. And if we can't get to all of them, we will definitely follow up with everyone via email and make sure that we answer those. But for application, I'm going to pass to Kate to talk a little bit about that.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us. So just to go over some of the application components, I know a few of you in the chat box have been asking questions about that. So this is the part of the presentation today where we'll discuss what exactly goes into a UT scholarship application. So first and foremost, we're looking for some official transcripts. So these should be from your registrar's office. They should be with this seal from your college. So definitely ask for these early. We do accept uploaded versions of these, which are not official transcripts per se, but we do need that seal from your community college. We're also looking for information from you about your academics, your activities, your honors from all of the institutions that you've attended in post-secondary education. So if you attended a community college previously, we'll want information from that institution as well as your activities inside and outside of your community college, and your honors both inside and outside of school. We also require some short answer and essay questions. We'll get to those a little bit later in the presentation. They're pretty concise and short, so definitely don't worry about length being an issue there. We also require 2 recommendations, so I'll get to those in a second, but basically we need 2 recommendations from school professionals from your current community college, but I'll get into specifics about that in a couple slides. And finally, we need financial forms from both your parent and yourself. So if you are under the age of 30 by the application deadline, we do require that you complete a parent or guardian form from both of your natural or adoptive parents if you have contact with them. So if you do not have contact with them, you can write a brief statement. You can select that option in the app to let us know your particular situation. But if you do have contact with your parents, regardless of whether or not they financially support you, we do need their information. We also require 2 recommendations. The first one must be from an academic professional from your current institution, and the other can be from another person well acquainted with your work. However, we do strongly suggest that this recommendation is also from an academic professional like a dean or a professor at your current institution. These should be people who really know you well beyond the classroom and can write about the qualities that make you a good candidate for the scholarship. And if there's a recommender that you'd really like to have write for you, but they're not really familiar with the scholarship, definitely feel free to share any information, maybe even this PowerPoint webinar today, just so that they know a little bit more about what specifically you need. There are going to be assessment questions on that recommendation, followed by some written examples to describe your qualifications. But there's about a limit of 1,800 characters, so only a couple hundred words. So it's definitely not something that should take a lot of time for your recommenders to complete, but we definitely do need those in by the deadline of October 24th. So just make sure you request those as soon as possible if you haven't already. So the short answer section is where we really learn about how you think and interact with those around you. These word limits are by character, so they're extremely short, only a couple hundred words each. So we're really looking for how well you write in a short amount of space and how well you can convey your ideas in a few hundred words. So the questions this year are about your community college academic experience, your commitment to your community, and your passion for learning. So these are all aspects that Alan mentioned a little bit earlier that we really look for in our Cooke Scholars. So make sure that you spend a lot of time on these and make sure that they're really reflective of who you are as a student and as a citizen. Great. So this is also our essay question. We have one shorter essay question and one longer narrative autobiography. Our shorter essay is an 1,800 character limit, so again, a couple hundred words. This one is about an important issue in our times that is currently under discussed. So it's meant to be vague, and we want to know how you deal with a vague question and what you do. This is really how we're trying to see how you think here. And the narrative autobiography is just a basic college essay. This is something that you would submit for any sort of transfer application. It's definitely something that you can reuse later in your applications for college, and that is definitely done on purpose. So this is a 3,000 character limit, so again, not very long, and we really want to get to the heart about who you are. This is one of the most important pieces of the application because it's something that you can control. Unlike your grades or your recommendations, which you've maybe had control over in the past, this is something that you can really put your spin on here. And we should really get to know who you are through these essays, and make sure that they're as edited and polished as they can possibly be. Make sure you have your recommenders read them, or someone you trust, just to get some perspective and to catch any typos. And something to keep in mind is that the other written answer sections, besides the short answer and the essay, such as your awards section or your activity section, are just as important. Some students make the mistake of rushing through these sections and forget to proofread, but we definitely do take the quality of writing into account in those sections as well. So for your applicant financials, we're looking specifically for documents from 2016, 2015, and 2014, so a pretty significant amount of financial records. For 2016, we're looking for your 1040 tax return, your W-2s, and all attachments and schedules. And we would like you to combine this into a single file. You can do this through, if you have any problems with this, please let us know. 2015, we're looking for your 1040 tax return, and also 2014, we're looking for your 1040. If there's anything for a certain year, say you don't have anything to attach for a certain year, for example, you're not working in 2014, please attach an explanation instead of the tax return. You'll also see a special circumstances box on this page, and this is a great opportunity for you to let us know of anything particular that's going on in your financial life that would maybe impact your application. So here are some great application tips. I know that we both have students and we have educators on today, so here are some tips for both students and educators as they complete the application. So for students, make sure you start early. We're already about halfway through the application cycle, so if you haven't started, definitely do that today. Really getting an early start and being able to digest the questions and figure out what you want to say is really important. Also, make sure you proofread all sections, not just your essay sections. This really is something that can trip a lot of students up, and I always try to make sure I mention that. You also want to make sure that you obtain excellent recommendations. So professor recommendations can make or break your application, and it's really unfortunate when your application is great, but you have less than stellar recommendations. So make sure that you're talking to professors who know you beyond lectures and class time and really know who you are as a person and what you really bring to the table. And finally, since all of our essay questions and written responses are pretty short, we want you to be thorough but be concise. Make sure you stay within those word limits. This is also our only opportunity to get to know you. Because there's no interview part of this application, we really only get to know you through the essay. So keep that in mind when you are completing your application. And for educators today, make sure you share the application with your potential applicants as often as possible over social media or email, or even targeted blasts to specific students, and make sure you follow up with students who've already begun the application. And finally, same sort of advice for the students, but recommendations can really make or break the application, and really talk to faculty members that you know are writing rec letters to make sure that they know about the scholarship, so they'll be able to better craft a rec letter for their students. I'm going to skip this slide here. But looking at our timeline, the application opened in August of this year and closes Tuesday, October 24th at noon. And that is a hard and fast deadline. In January to February is when our applications will be reviewed by our outside scholarship committee. And in early April 2018 is when our scholarship recipients will be notified. And throughout this process, non-selected students are also notified, so we definitely keep you updated throughout the process. So finally, if you have any questions about the scholarship or have any technical problems with the application, you can call this toll-free number. They're available Monday through Friday, normal business hours. You can also email us at scholarships@jkcf.org. And I know a lot of you have been asking really great questions, so keep asking some of those, and we'll stay on the line for the next 10 minutes or so to answer questions. And if we don't get to your question today, we'll definitely follow up through an email. Thank you.